Hello and welcome back to Ravenheart Painting. Today I'm gonna present you the demon called Fiend, another monster from the Witcher Old World board game. Fiends, according to Slavic mythology, were malicious forest demons, and there we go, we see one on the reference card from the board game. However, in the Gwent there is another card with this creature, and it has far better colors in terms of reference card for our painting, and this one I'm gonna use to paint my model today. So the model itself was primed with 3 different shades. So generally the model was primed with black, and then from 45 degree angle I have painted with the gray. Directly from the top was also white. Now we're gonna have few base color, which is Mournfang brown, Dryad bark, Rhinox hide, and Naggaroth night, and we're gonna use those 4 color to paint the fur of our fiend. We're gonna use a couple of different techniques, but we're gonna start with the wet blending. Our base color will be the Dryad bark, and then we're gonna use all 3 different shades here and there. We're gonna use a kind of like a stripes to create a nice shading. So the purple one will go in the middle of each side of our monster, and we're gonna blend it with our brown base. Then on the top surface we're gonna use the Mournfang brown, and we're gonna apply that right on the top of the fur, and then the Rhinox hide, which is our darkest tone out of those 4, will go on the bottom edge of the fur of our fiend. At this point, don't be afraid of any mistakes. You know, we're gonna have plenty opportunity to correct those later. There are a number of different patches, like on the elbows, etc., so don't forget to use those. Now I'm gonna use the Skrag brown with a bit of the Lamian medium as a kind of dilution, and we apply the kind of like a wash on the bottom part of the fur. On our darkest painted base we're gonna apply that very kind of bright brown. Obviously we remove the excess. We want that paint to go only into the recesses to create a nice transition in between those 2 colors. Just bear in mind, once you prepare those kind of, I would call, homemade washes with Lamian medium, they will normally take a bit of an extra time to dry it off, so you might need to take a break before the next step while you're doing it. Next, the Mournfang brown we're gonna apply again with the dry brushing, and again we focus on the top part of the fur first, and then we're gonna add some brightest tone. In this case is XV88, and again we focus only on that top part, and then, you know, the the areas that we want to have it brighter. In my case it will be the edge of that monster. The next color is the Screaming Skull, and we're gonna mix that together with our XV88, and again we're gonna use the dry brush on our fur. I have applied that in a couple of stages just for a nice contrast. And the final part is the pure ivory, with the very gentle touches. So this is the effect of this stage of our Fiend. Our monster has large antlers, and we're gonna use the Steel Legion drab, our base color, to paint them. Again, you know, while you apply the primer, as I said, I put the black first and then a bit of the gray and white, which create that pattern already. And for the skin color, I'm using the mixture of Stormvermin fur and Screamer pink, a little bit of pink with the majority of gray, and we're painting with a pretty watered paint all over the skin of our monster. And again, this model have some areas that are very hard to reach, so while you're doing those, you know, just pay attention, because it's very easy to make a mistake, and once you have your fur pretty much done at this stage, you don't want to destroy that. So apply gently all over the antlers, the fur, to cover the whole skin of the mini. For the mouth of the monster, as you can see, I use quite a lot of pink, so I use the same mixture with the gray. However, we apply more pink than usual, and then I did the same kind of darker shade in the eye holes. For the claws itself, just a pure gray did the job. Next, couple of stones on the base. I using the Eshin gray. For those, it's kind of different, but darker tone of the gray. And then the Armagedon dunes, the technical paint from Citadel to cover the base. And again, I'm gonna do a little bit of the wet blending with the Rhinox Hide while applying those, just to create instant shading on the base itself. The texture of this paint is kind of like a sandy soil, which I think it's pretty cool for those models from this game. Then the Agrax Earthshade and the black wash from Vallejo will be applied as well to the base of the monster, and then the mixture of those two shades will go a little bit of the base of the antlers, just to darken them a bit. Once that dry off, we're gonna use our Eshin gray with a bit of a white just to do a bit of a dry brushing on those rocks. Next step, we're gonna look back to Fiend Antlers, and we're gonna do a bit of a dry brushing. We're gonna start with the Steel Legion drab, and again we're gonna add a bit of a Zandri Dust initially, so we'll be adding the brighter tone in a couple of stages. So the next shade is the Screaming Skull, and again we want to have the effect like they will be dark beside the head, and the brightest part will be on the tops. Next, we're gonna gently touch with the dry brush the base with the Armageddon dunes, and while is that done, we're gonna create a mixture of the gray and white, and we're gonna use that as a bright tone that we're gonna be brighten up our original skin tone, and then we're gonna apply this in the number of layers. Make sure that you have the properly watered paint, and again we're gonna covering the exposed areas using brighter and brighten tone. So this is the kind of a long process. We're gonna do it in a couple of stages, but I think, you know, the results toward the end will be quite good. I mentioned earlier on that Fiend is the Slavic mythology monster. The Polish name of this monster is Bies, and the legend states that it was living in the forest beside the mountain, and he was protecting his territory while the people settled there. He was trying to scare them and force them to leave. However, he had no success on doing that. So he called on the other tiny wee monsters called Chady, and they were little tiny demons that were messing around with people. So the combination of those two words, Bies and Chady, create the name of the Polish mountain in the Poland east side called Bieszczady. So it's a kind of interesting thing to know. If you're a fan of The Witcher, you know where that fella came from. But back to our painting. As you can see, I'm adding more and more of the brighter shades and applying another coats of that brighter paint with very, very watered paint. And again, you know, applying that not the whole area, and again I'm selecting those areas that pick up the light, just to make the shades in the recesses based off our original color, and then adding the brighter colors only to those exposed ones. At this point I add a little bit more gray, as I want to have kind of like a more grayish tone on those exposed areas. And then we're gonna put a little bit of very watered wash towards the end, just to blend everything together. And I think the effect towards the end is pretty cool, so just stay with me and have a look how's that process going. As I mentioned, this is probably the longest part of creating those transitions. However, it's well worth it to spend a bit of time on that. for the nice effect towards the end. As you can see at this stage, you know, there's a lot of white coming into the gray color, and that skin has become very bright on this part. While we have the white paint on the table, just make sure you're gonna put the pure white on the ice. So this is how the model look at this point, and then we're gonna get a bit of a pinky wash from Citadel, and again I add the medium just to make that wash even more watered, and we apply very thin layer all over the skin. But again, please make sure you're not gonna use it straight from the can. Just add medium to it and apply very gentle color on the areas around the eyes. Again, we're gonna apply a couple of layers. For this purpose, I used the watered wash, however not as much as for the rest of the skin, so we want a little bit of that color to be stronger. We want to create kind of like a reflection around the glowing eyes. Please make sure again that those paints are getting darker when they dries off, so be gentle at this point. Mephiston red for the interior of his mouth, and again at this point, once the wash dry off, I did a bit of a white, kind of like a white liner here and there, just for the contrast, especially on the head when we have that kind of glowing effect around the eye pupils. And make sure again that, you know, the eyes needs to be pure white, so if you need to do any corrections, that's the time to do it. Now for the teeth, I didn't want to go with the pure white, so again we use the ivory from Citadel, the Screaming Skull. However, in the front part you might add a little bit of the white, just to do the final kind of touch. So we got in there a couple of more things to finish it off, and our mini will be ready to go. On the arms, as you can see on the reference card, there are a couple of kind of like a with dots artifacts, so I use the pure wash and apply that gently with the fine brush, just for the kind of like a nice texture effect there. And a bit of a highlighting on the cloths. So again, the shade, the Stormvermin Fury with a little bit of the white, and then the German Grey from Vallejo. I apply that on the rim for every monster model from this board game. Once that done, couple of different pieces of grass, flowers, whatever you like. I was trying to create kind of like a rocky, sandy place with a bit of a different kind of flowery plants. A little bit of the blood on one of the arms, like on the gloves, and I put it a dripping on the base, which I think it looks pretty cool. And that's pretty much it. Our model is ready, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will try to put the next one soon. There is few requests, so I will try to do one of those that you are looking for. So please don't forget to thumb up and subscribe. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye now.